Today we're unboxing one of my largest and most complicated to build statues of the epic battle between Madara and Hashirama. You heard it, today's unboxing will go down in this channel's history as one of the greatest we've done so far. To make things interesting, today we're gonna have a bit of a competition between me and my wife. She told me she thinks she can build today's statue in under 20 minutes. How many statues have you built, babe?
None.
If she's unable to do so in under 20 minutes, she's gonna have to endure the ultimate, most deadly jutsu in the entire Naruto universe, 1,000 years of death. But if she doesn't, I'm probably not gonna be able to sit it all next week. Now, before we begin this challenge, I gotta tell you whose idea this was. It wasn't mine. I was asking her for ideas of funny things we could possibly do, and she said this randomly late at night, and her fate is sealed.
Instant regret. I should have never said that to
Well,
you.
without delay, let's go and jump on in and take a look at this unboxing. The statue is made by LongHu Studio and comes in a scale of 1/8 and only 218 made around the world. The base is huge, but surprisingly not that heavy. We can see the Uchiha clan symbol on the left, and we have the Senji going on the right. As you saw in the beginning, the statue is made of so many parts. This is one of the first rocky rubble bits that's added to the statue. And then we have this tree here as well that connects with a very large notch and magnet on the bottom right there. These dusty cloud effects almost serve as the backbone of the statue. When it comes to bringing to life such an epic and larger scale battle, there's so many different engineering feats that the studio has to tackle. All throughout the statue, you'll unfortunately see some scuffs and paint markings because a lot of the statue rests on each other and there is some paint rubbing that goes on. Now, most of those areas are well hidden once you get the statue assembled, but it is a little painful to look at up close when we're seeing these parts initially. Here is the smallest of the 9 tails that was sculpted separately and attaches on the side of the statue. I mentioned before that these effects are the backbone of the statue. That is because there's a lot of different things that are going to be hinging and resting upon them. That was our left side, and here's our right. Down below is where one of the first tree effects will be installed. There's a magnet here and also one impacted inside that dust cloud. As we build this, you will notice that the right side is going to be heavily themed after these trees, mainly because this is Hashirama's side. That's the side he's going to be mounted on later. And with all that built so far, it is time to check on the wife. In order to keep her accountable during this building process, we do have this built-in timer that will slow down and speed up as we do the same with the video. I will say early on, it is really difficult with these statues because there's so many pieces laying around everywhere, you don't even know where to start. So a lot of the time sink is probably going to be in this initial beginning moments.
I hate these trees! Building statues sucks.
I was 7 minutes down already. It smells like victory to me. This tail piece is different right here where there's no texture at all. It's smooth. That's because it's going to be resting against some resin, so you do not want texture as it does make it more prone to paint rubbing. Next up, we'll see the main 9 tails chest piece. A little bit of muscle definition, but not too much with the fur covering it up with that large notch and steel rod in the bottom. And then also on the back of the statue, you'll notice like other pieces, it's smooth, right? So there's gonna be an effect that's gonna be wrapping around and pretty cool once we get it all installed. One thing I will say, with all the different pieces sculpted, there are quite a bit of seam lines throughout the statue, but thankfully most of them are hidden. And here we have one of the first pieces installed to bring to life Hashirama's wood dragon. This piece does explain why the back of the 9 tails is smooth, because there's a certain section right here that's going to rub up against it, but thankfully it doesn't rub because they're both smooth. Really cool because it's beginning to coil around him. That's one of those battles that did not last long enough for me. I could easily watch 2 or 3 episodes animated of those two going at it. Here's the largest of the tail pieces, and then we have another 2 to go with. These tails are so massive and huge, easily the size of my forearm, but we have another cloud dust particle effect that's going to keep them solidified into place. There's the foot peg for Madara, and also this section up here looks like it could easily hold a hard shell taco, but it's going to be for the moon. This notch is where it connects to the other cloud effect. It really helps to push down and hold the tails into place. We also have this piece of the wood dragon as well. And now it's time to continue to extend that wood dragon that is coiling around the nine tails. That's where it connects to. Here's where the hands will go, the arms, and this is where the head will key into as well. One thing to mention is the wood spines that were sculpted on there are actually intentionally placed to connect to the rock so it does support and hold most of the weight. The seam lines, when you're this close up, are really noticeable with how all the pieces connect, but thankfully, when you do back up or assemble everything, they fade away pretty easy. One part of the statue that I am going to have to change is the fingernails here. They are gray for some reason when I recall them being white or white with a yellowish tint to them. I love the way this hand connects to the body and also is grasping that spine of the wood dragon. Let's go check on the lady and see how she's doing. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with her time so far, with this being the first statue that she has ever built. Yeah, not gonna lie, that scared the crap out of it, but thankfully it did just slip right out. We are nearing the halfway point so far. A little worried, a little concerned here. She's moving way faster than I thought she would. Those tails are definitely tricky to figure out, but she did them really quickly. While she continues, it is time for us to go ahead and take a look at installing the other arm and both heads for Nine Tails and the dragon. The other arm looks pretty cool, how it ripped a piece of wood off of something there, and there's another smooth surface on the back here from another wood dragon wraparound. This piece is much smaller than the other ones, and actually its main purpose is to brace that arm into place to make sure it does not fall or slip out. Never before in my whole unboxing time have I seen so many pieces resting upon pieces supporting other pieces. With our last large dust cloud effect installed, here is the head of the wood dragon. Compared to the other parts of the statue that we've seen so far, a lot of time, attention, and details were packed into here. If we lift up the top portion of the head, you'll actually reveal some LEDs that they have in there that are battery powered. Not a big fan of battery powered LEDs, but at least there's some kind of option to add some extra effect to the statue if you want. Some random piece of wood on one of the tails, and then we have the arms and hands. Nothing too special going on here, but I do love the fact that they brought out a lot of the different cracks and layers in these with the way that they panel lined it with the darker paint. Immediately you can see that the studio did a fantastic job at bringing to life the feral, wild look of the Nine Tails because it's been controlled forcefully by Madara. Just like the wood dragon, if you lift up the top of the head, you'll reveal the LEDs that light up the eyes. With that installed, we'll go ahead and take a closer look at these two. I love that we have two battles going on here, right? The wood dragon going against Nine Tails, as well as we'll get into very shortly Hashirama versus Madara. To really set the stage and tone for the battle and clash, going on top we have the moon in the background. If you recall, their battle lasted multiple days and nights, and there was that iconic scene during the night where they clashed 1-to-1 with the moon behind them. Crazy to see all these layers come to life finally to set the stage for this epic battle between Hashirama on our left and Madara on our right. The quality and paint application on these were done very, very well. What's so different about the poses for these is they're actually going to be on a side angle. Normally statues are front facing, but these two are clashing, so they're going to be side by side, but tons of fantastic battle markings all throughout that armor. Next up is that iconic huge scroll that Hashirama does have on his back. I gotta say, I'm drawing a blank as to why he would even need or wear this scroll. What was inside of it? If anybody has any information on that, leave me a comment below and let me know. This first hand has a standard hand sign, and then the other one is going to be holding his iconic sword. I love all the battle damage on here, and the metallic paint job on here does make it look like an actual sword. The studio did give you 3 different portrait options. We have this first one where he's wearing the headband. All hair is pretty much the same, flowing like that. And the second one's going to be what I like to call I'm hungry Hashirama. Looks like he's about to eat a sub or something. And the third being him in his sage mode. Real quick, briefly, I did want to show you what each of the head sculpts looks like if you did want to change them out. I think I'm leaning towards the sage mode. Let me know which one you would choose in the comments. Madara's outfit's looking good, and each of them have this peg and notch on the foot that do allow it to connect to those dust cloud areas. The armor and the rest of the outfit is kind of similar to Hashirama, right? Both their outfits were near same. That's what most shinobi wore at that date and time. And then there's his iconic sickle or scythe. I think they could have added a little bit more detail to that white handle. Maybe made it look like white wrappings, but you know, it is what it is. Just like Hashirama, he has 3 portraits. The first one doesn't make much sense to me. This is the reanimated version, so not sure why they included that and didn't have one for Hashirama. But the second one, obviously, he is eating a sandwich along with him. And then there's the more serious, stern face. It's not Madara without that giant war fan. Great color here. Sometimes it's more of an off-white. They went for more of a tan color. There's a handle that is removable. That's how we will install it onto him. I won't show it here, but there's also the chain that brings those 2 weapons together. Now, let's see how the wife is hanging in there. She got quite a few pieces to put together with only 4 minutes left, but honestly, it is getting a little bit easier because there's not as many pieces to work through. Ooh, she is speeding right along through these pieces, getting them on too fast.
I didn't break it. Yet.
And with under 2 minutes to go, she's gonna actually connect all the different characters. And unfortunately for me, coming in with a buzzer beater, 5 seconds left, she managed to do it.
Yay! This is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I don't ever want to do this again. Thank you very much.
Well, you picked the worst one to do it for. Do you feel good though?
No, I'm like sweating. My back hurts. Okay.
Though this statue has flaws and it's definitely lacking some details in certain areas, it manages to capture the epic battle between these 2 iconic shinobi in the Naruto universe. Here's some statues side by side so you can actually see how ginormous it is. All right, everybody, I am a man of my word, and she came through with 5 seconds left. 5 seconds! And she pulled it through. So we're gonna do this exactly like the Kakashi belt test. Let's do it. Do what you love and love what you do. Bam out!